Hi, welcome back to another episode here on Creepy with Coffee. Tonight, I'm gonna read you a story about somebody's father's encounter with an apparition that I believe anybody who meet this kind of apparition would be scared shitless. Tonight's story's title is A Late Night Drive Encounter. But before we go to the story, if you have yet to subscribe to the channel, please do. And remember to share it with your family, friends, anybody who love creepy stories like these. And if you are kind enough, please do leave some nice comments down below in the comment section. Now, let's get on to the story.
This is Creepy with Coffee.
Well, tonight I have another unsettling story for you. A strange encounter my father had on a lonely, haunted road. Back in the late 80s, my father was a young officer in the Royal Malaysian Navy, stationed at the naval base in Lumut, Perak. We were living in Sri Manjung, and every now and then, my dad would be sent to the Ministry of Defence in Kuala Lumpur for meetings, usually coupled with his friends, making it a day trip. This way, they don't have to spend the night away. They'd make the drive there early in the morning and head back as night fell, splitting into two cars. One night, Dad's car only had him and a close friend of his, while the other vehicle was full with 4 other colleagues. Since the highway wasn't built yet, I believe this is the Plus Highway, they had to take the long, winding, shadowy inner roads passing through Batu Gajah. It was already late, the dark jungle pressing in close, as they had noticed the other car's tail light just ahead. But then, almost without warning, those red lights started to fade and fade until they vanished completely. The headlights from Dad's car barely pierced through the dense, shrouded road ahead. And for a moment, it seemed like as if he and his friends were the only ones left on that empty stretch. The silence in the car was heavy. His friend, though, was asleep in the passenger seat, while Dad's eye darted around, searching the shadows for any signs of their friends. But before he could think any further, something strange happened. The beams from his headlights caught the silhouette of an old man by the side of the road, pushing what seems to be an old, rusty bicycle. The man was wearing traditional clothes, a simple sarong and a shirt, like an old villager, with a stooped posture as he walked. Dad couldn't quite put his finger on it, but something about the figure seemed off. It was as if the man was moving in slow motion, like really slow. His steps labored and drawn out, like he was as if floating. Dad slowed the car as they approached. He thought maybe the man might need to cross the road, so he carefully brought the car to a halt. The figure continued to shuffle forward, and as he came closer, Dad's blood ran cold. The man pushing the bicycle had no head. His hands gripped the handlebars and the bicycle wheels turned slowly, creaking in the silence. But where a head should have been, there was nothing but empty space. The eerie figure posed at the center of the road right in front of my father's car, the headlights casting long shadows over his headless frame. That's when Dad's friend stirred awake, blinking in confusion. "Why did you stop?" he murmured, still groggy. Dad only raised a shaking finger, pointing of what's in front. As they both watched, horrified, the headless figure did something even more impossible. It lifted off the ground, floating upwards with the bicycle, until it disappeared into the night sky, leaving no trace behind. Both men sat there in stunned silence, barely able to comprehend what they had just seen. But the shock only lasted a second before Dad snapped out of it, slamming the car into gear and speeding away. When they finally reached Sri Manjung, their nerves frayed. They spotted their friend's car parked along the road, and Dad pulled over. His friends were still inside, all pale, huddled together, visibly shaken. Dad and his friends rushed over to him, anxious to find out what had happened. My dad asked, desperate to know, "You guys just sped off and disappeared. Did you see anything?" The driver slowly nodded. His hands were trembling. He said, "We saw the same thing, a headless man with a bicycle." But there was more. As I explained, the horror deepened. Just before Dad and his friend had seen the headless figure, the group in the other car had seen something even more terrifying. In their headlights, they glimpsed a creature riding on back of the bicycle, cradling the figure's severed head in her lap. It was a Langsui, with her long hair flowing, pale and ghastly, clutching the head tightly as her face turned to watch them. As they sped past, she let out a bone-chilling wail and took off after their car, keeping pace alongside them, her ghastly white face glaring through the window. Dad pushed the pedal to the floor, praying to outrun her, too terrified to even take a glance out of the window. She chased him for several kilometers, her eyes never leaving the car, her face twisted in anger and sorrow until they finally managed to lose her. After that night, Dad would never drive those roads again without feeling a chill run down his spine, and he refused to travel at night without the whole family with him. They say these dark roads are alive at night, and sometimes the things that roam them are just waiting for someone to notice them. Well, I'm sure a lot of us have heard stories like this, especially driving in dark, haunted, lonely roads. If you have a story similar like this, well, you know, my email is just there. You can always send me an email, or you can drop your stories down below in the comment section. Once again, if you have yet to subscribe, remember to subscribe to the channel. Until the next episode, this is Kim, Creepy with Coffee.